Hi there, it's Dr. Lisa Bogue here to demonstrate for you the technique of tapping. Tapping is the word that most people use to refer to the technique of EFT, or the Emotional Freedom Technique. This technique is great because you can use it in so many ways. Tapping can be used to bring down the intensity of a strong emotion that we're feeling, like anger or sadness or fear or nervousness. It can also be used to deal with a belief that we know is holding us back. So something like, I'm no good, or nothing ever works out for me. EFT can also be used to deal with a behavior that we know isn't serving us. So something like, even though I really want to lose weight, I still eat chocolate every day. And it can be used to work on something going on in the body. So a pain or a tightness in a muscle. So for today's illustration, I'm going to work on a feeling of constriction in my breathing. The first thing to do is to rate the feeling or the thought that you're going to work on with regard to its intensity. So from 0, which is it's not bothering you at all, to 10, which is it's bothering you quite a lot. So right now when I tune into the constriction in my breathing, it feels like it's about a 4.5 out of 10. In intensity. So that's where I'm going to start. And the first thing to do when you're tapping is what is called the setup statement. So this is a statement that begins with, even though I have this constriction in my breathing, or I have this thought that I'm no good, or I have this pain in my neck. And then the second part is an acceptance statement. So something like, I deeply and completely accept myself. If that doesn't feel true for you on the day that you're doing it, then don't say that because it's only going to increase your feeling of conflict. So then you might say something like, I accept that I'm working on this, or I accept that I'm doing my best. So while we're saying this even though and acceptance statement, we're tapping on this point in the hand, which is called the karate chop point. So 3 times we'll say, even though I have this constriction in my breathing, I still deeply and completely accept myself. Even though my breathing is tight, I still accept me. Even though my chest is feeling really tight today, I still deeply and completely accept myself. So now we're going to run through the sequence of points, and that sequence stays the same no matter what you're tapping on. So once you have it, you have it. So the first points are the ones just at the inside of each eyebrow. So right here, and now we just say, this constriction in my breathing, or this thought that I'm no good, or this pain in my neck, whatever it is. This constriction in my breathing. The second points are on the outside of the eyes. This constriction in my breathing. This tightness in my chest. And now under the eyes. This constriction in my breathing. This tightness in my chest. And now under the nose. This constriction in my breathing. This tightness in my chest. I'm having so much trouble getting a good breath. This constriction in my breathing. And now the chin. This constriction in my breathing. This tightness in my chest. I'm having trouble getting a good breath. The next points are called collarbone points. So we're going to start at the sternal notch here, go down 1 inch, and then out 1 inch on each side. And then those are the 2 points that you tap on. This constriction in my breathing. This tightness in my chest. And then the next points are 4 inches down from the axilla, so about here. This constriction in my breathing, this tightness in my chest. This constriction in my breathing, this tightness in my chest. This constriction in my breathing, this tightness in my chest. And that's on the last point, which is at the top of the head. So now that I've gone through the whole sequence of points, I'm going to take a deep breath. If I have water, I'm going to take a sip of water because water is very helpful when you're tapping. And then I'm going to tune in, again, to that feeling in my breathing. And what I notice now is that that intensity has gone down from 4 to about a 2. So 2 is pretty good, but I'm going to do one more round and see if I can get it down to a 0 or a 1. This constriction in my breathing, this tightness in my chest. It's hard to get a good breath. This constriction in my breathing. I'm having trouble getting a good breath. This remaining constriction in my breathing. It's better than it was, but it's still there a little bit. This feeling of tightness in my chest. It's getting better, but it still feels a little tight. This tightness in my chest. this constriction in my breathing, this constriction in my breathing, this tightness in my chest, this constriction in my breathing, this little bit of remaining constriction in my breathing, this little bit of remaining tightness in my chest, this remaining constriction in my breathing, this tightness in my chest, this trouble getting a good breath. So now again, I'm going to take a deep breath, a sip of water if I have that, and then I'm going to tune in again. And the intensity for me now is down to about a 1. So you want to aim to bring the intensity of whatever it is down to about a 0 or a 1. The way that you're going to do this is by practicing. So tapping is useful for so many things. I encourage you to just practice and practice and practice, because that's how it's going to make the biggest difference in your life and help you to be emotionally free.